What's going on, traders? The Fibonacci here with the Trading Decoded Discord. Link will be in the description below. What I'm bringing you today is two indicators that I've been working on for a while now that automate my trading. Now, I don't mean automate by automatically buys in and buys out. What I mean is it basically simplifies the way I trade with the indicators. People who know me know I play the fibs, and I'm constantly drawing and reversing my fibs and you know re-anchoring my fib points. Well, I have an indicator here that does all that exactly how I do it automatically. It'll automatically plot it, reverse it. It works perfectly. I used it today. I need to tweak it a little bit, but it works basically just like I trade. And I also have another one called All-in-One, and I'll go over them here, and then I'm going to go over how to use them, how I trade with them, and if you want access to these indicators, you can become a member of the Trading Dakota Discord. It's free to the gold members or spider tier. And if you're not a member of the Discord, you can click the link below to get access to it. So let's get started. All right, first I'll go over the indicators. What I'll do is I'll go over the Fibonacci. I call it the Fibonacci. Um, Obviously, my name that I go by in the Discord. But this indicator here, you can see it already. It's already plotted the fibs automatically. The settings in it and how you set it up. I have the fib points how I exactly use them, color coded how I use them, and all this is uh, customizable. You can change the color, you can change the fib points if you don't play these certain fib points. If you only play a couple of them, you can take some of them out, but it's fully customizable. But how you do it is you set it up for the time frame of that you're going to be trading. So for example, for me, I like to trade ES and it goes off of Central Time, even though I'm an Eastern guy, it goes off of Central Time. So the first area here is that's the first fib point plot. So for example, opening is at 9:30, so I want it set at 8:30. It's going to use that candle as a fib plot. I trade the orb, so basically I'll go over that here in a minute too. I wait, 3 minutes, and then in the other indicator it'll pre-plot fibs for my exits and entrance and my take profit area, so to speak. But it has all that in there, and I don't want these fib lines to mess with those ones. So what I do is I have this for set for 8:40 because usually I'm done playing orb by 8:40, 8:45. And what this does, it will not plot the fib lines until 8:40. So at 8:40, it's going to use the 8:30, the very first candle of the day, and then the 8:40 candle of the day, and it will plot from the low to the high, or from the high to the low, depending on which way the stock's moving. And it'll automatically do that. And then as the day progresses, normally what I do is once the price hits the 100 fib line, I usually reverse my fibs. This will automatically do it whenever the price pushes below it. And then I re-anchor my fib points whenever it crosses the negative 272 line. This here will also move the fib anchors automatically without having to mess with it. Now, some people ask me if you could still click and drag. No, you can't do that. This is just it does everything automatically. And then you can always turn it off by coming up here and hit the I button, and it'll hide the fib points. So the next indicator, I call it the all-in-one because there's a bunch of stuff going on in here. So in the settings here, it starts out with the orb because that's what I start out with, the 3-minute orb play. So here, if you want to use it, you hit this show button. I believe it comes with it automatically off. So if you're wanting to play the orb and have the fib pre-plot for you, you'll click on the orb button. And same thing, you pick which hour, mark it the market open time frame. And then the display to study is the same thing. I want it to go off on the, basically it's going to be the second candle of the day, is what it's going to go off of, or the second candle is when it's going to plot. So if I'm on a 1 minute chart, the second 1 minute candle, this is going to start plotting. If I'm on a 2 minute, it'll start plotting on the second candle, and so on and so forth. Because the way I play the orb is, I play the 3 minute orb, I watch the first 3 minute candle to determine which direction I believe it's going to go in. The very next candle, these fib points will plot out, basically telling me the direction of the market, and also have fib points pre-plotted to where it's my take profit area and it's going to be my stop loss area. And it's all automated. It just comes on. After I'm done playing the orb play, what I'll do is I'll just open up this and just shut it off. That way it's not bothering me with the chart and then messes with the other fibs. Not that it's a big deal or not. The second thing on here is moving averages. So I believe this comes already on, the moving averages. I really don't use them too much, so I keep them turned off. But there's several different moving averages. You have the 9, and you could change it from SMA to EMA if you want. The 20, since that seems to be everybody's, what they use is a 920. Same thing, you can change it to SMA, EMA. Obviously, you could change the colors here, and also with that, to show MA's cross, if you have that checked, what it'll do is on the chart, when the 920 crosses to the upside or downside, it'll plot a triangle, whether it's a green triangle if it's moving up, and a red triangle if it's moving down, and that's just the 920 cross. It also plots the double crosses. We have a member in our Discord, P Daddy, who basically created it's called the double cross, and there's a lot to it. I don't want to explain it here, but basically this shows you when there's a double cross. It'll be a red X for a double cross to the bottom, and it'll be a green X for a double cross to the top, or moving up or moving down. And you could turn those on and off just by hitting this show MAs here. This show entries, I might take this out. It basically shows the same thing as the a regular MA cross, except it'll tell you, long, which basically means obviously it's pushing to the upside, or it'll say short, and it means it's pushing to the downside. Some people may think that is take it as a cue of like making an entry, go long and go short. So I may take that off of here, but as of now it's on here, and if people want to see that on their chart, they just click that and it'll show it, and then they uncheck it and it'll turn it off. There's a third MA here. Obviously, you can put it whatever you want. On average, most people usually use 200. Same thing, you can move the and it's adjustable. If you want to change the time frame of it, you can actually show that at a higher time frame. So you're on a 1 minute chart, but you're going to show a 5 minute, SMA, whether it be the 9, 20, 200. You can actually change it to a higher time frame SMA. It's not real smooth, but it still gives you an idea of it. There's a fourth MA on it, right, and it's basically VWAP. Its default setting is the VWAP, so everybody likes VWAP, and if you want that on there, you can leave it on there right here, or you could change it to fourth SMA, EMA, however you want to do it. The alerts here, if you have them checked, what will happen is over in the alerts button over here, if you hit on alerts, you could create, I'm in replay mode, but you can create an alert for if there is a double cross, it'll send you a signal. If it's a 920 cross, it'll send you a signal. I have them set up right now for a 5 minute cross to the upside or downside, or actually I believe it's a double cross. I think I have I have it set for a 5 minute double cross and a 15-minute double cross, and it automatically sends it to our Discord in one of our alerts channel, and it'll let you know, hey, there's a 5 minute double cross, there's a 15-minute double cross. I think I might even have a 5 minute 920 cross. It'll say cross to the upside or down, and the 15-minute also on that. Now if you go over here to the style section, what you can do is down here or is your MAs. You can change them. If you only want 2 of them on, you could come in here and uncheck 2 of them. If you want them all on, you could check here. Same thing with your crossovers. But this checkbox here basically turns them all off at one time. It'll turn on if you have 2 of them on over here. That checkbox here will turn, those 2 on. So this here is under the style section. You basically set up how you want it. If you want 2 or 3 or all of them on. If you want to show the crosses, the double crosses and all that stuff. And then you can control it from on this side just by hitting that one box by turning it on or turning it off. So that's it for the SMAs. Also, I just added this in today. One of the members was asking about being able to display yesterday's high and low, so I figured, all right, we'll put the high, low, and close in here. So this will display yesterday's high, low, and close. As you can see here, it's yesterday's close, yesterday's low, and it has a line. And if we shrink up the chart, we should see yesterday's high right here. So it'll pre-plot. And again, this is futures, so it's from yesterday's futures. It plots the high, low, and it works on SPY. All this stuff works on SPY also. Another neat one I have in here. Oh, with those, you could turn them off. Again, if you don't want to see the close of it, yesterday's, you can uncheck it, and you'll have to uncheck it where it says display yesterday's labels if you want them, the labels actually turned off right now. I'm going to look into maybe modifying this up a little bit so you can actually, they'll be separate. If you uncheck one of them, that specific label will come off also. But that's that. Now, as you can see up here in this box, I'm on ES, but this is showing SPY's price. Now this is during market open, not aftermarket. So this shows SPY's price, SPX price, because we got people that play SPX in our Discord, and obviously ES price. So if you're on a SPY chart, you can always look up here quick, and it'll show you, where the price is at SPX and ES at that specific time level. Another cool thing though is you could turn on the actual SPY. So I'm on ES here. This is showing SPY's levels comparable to the ES level. And that's, again, you can switch it over from, if you don't want to watch SPY, or if you're on SPY and you want to see ES, you can turn on ES's, and then it'll show you the ES levels here. And if vice versa, if you want to show SPX, you could turn it on, and then it'll show you the SPX levels here. Let me turn off, because it's basically set up to where you can have one, indicator. So SPX, SPY, whichever one you want to look at. And to turn it off, you just hit this show SPY levels, SPY ES levels. You click on that, and it'll turn that off on there. If you want this box up here to disappear, or first off, these labels, you want them to disappear, you just hit the show SPY levels, make sure it's unchecked, and it'll make those disappear. If you want this box up here to disappear, you just show price location here. You can turn that off. Well, I guess I should have showed you before I turned it off. That is adjustable too. If you want to move it to, the bottom right, you can. And it pushes it down to the bottom. You want it to the bottom center. It should center it up around here somewhere. So you can adjust. It's totally adjustable however you want it. Top center. And then obviously to the top left if you want to do that. The font size, you can change it. If you want tiny, it'll go really tiny. It'll make them pretty small. If you want small, obviously you have small, normal size, and then the large size is kind of a little bit too big. So it's fully adjustable that way. You can pick which one, how you want it. I usually just keep it on normal. It's nice to glance up there and see what the heck's going on with that. So let me come up here and turn off my SMAs. Switches to the top right. The next thing down is the higher time frame candles. Now what that is, you can see on this chart here, the normal candles is displaying whatever minute chart this is. So this is a 1 minute candle, so the normal candles you see are the 1 minute candles. Now on the 1 minute chart, you can switch it to, if you want to do a 2 minute overlay candle or a 5 minute overlay candle, or however, whatever minute, it's interchangeable. You could pick whatever you want. And that's what this green rectangle is showing, a 5 minute candle. The pink is showing a 5 minute, candle, red candle to the downside. So for example, if we go here, and you see, basically that's going to be a doji. That's going to be a 5 minute doji. When I switch to the 5 minute chart here to show you, this, you'll see that right here, this is a doji because there's hardly any of that green rectangle. The one right before it has a little bit, and the one right before it probably won't have that much of a wick on it. It may have a little bit of wick on the bottom, a little bit of wick on the top. But this one here, you can see that the green is barely, you can barely see the green rectangle, but you see the wicks. So you're going to see more wick than body on that one. And the one right beside it, when I switch to the 5 minute, you'll see way more body than the wick. So if we come up here and switch over to the 5 minute chart, as you can see, here's that first one here with the wick, and there's that second one where you have a little bit of wick, a little bit of wick and body. And then on the 5 minute chart, I have it displaying the 15 minute overlay. So that's what that rectangle shown there is, the 15 minute overlay for that. This here, as you can see, the body stops here, and then you're going to have a big wick. So if I switch to the 15 minute chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly that fourth candle in, we'll see a green candle with probably big wick on the top part. Right here. Green candle with that big wick. So it shows you the overlay. That way you don't have to have two, like a 5 minute chart set up and a 1 minute chart. This kind of, your eyes got to get used to it though. It takes a little bit to understand what's going on there. And I use that as my entrances and exits. Now on that, you'll see this white line here. There's one at the top, one at the bottom. What that signifies is that forms a double bottom, or that forms a double top right here. And that's what the white line is showing you, that hey, this is a double top, and it's on the 5 minute, not these 1 minute. It's showing you on the 5 minute. There's a little bit of offset on it, so it's probably not exact. Like here you can see the body is probably pushed up a little bit, but it's close enough to be considered a double bottom. And then these yellow lines that you see, what they are is, I'll just go over how I trade this real quick. So once it forms a double bottom, what I look for, I use my fib points. I'll look for a candle break of, like this candle here, for example. It formed a double bottom. This next candle, when it pushes up, it'll form a yellow line signifying that hey, it's a conservative entrance, so to speak. It's the visual cue to me to say, hey, look, this could be a possible entrance to the upside if there's a momentum break to the upside. So that's what that yellow line is. What you could do, here's a good example. So if the fibs were drawn here, I'm just going off of just here. If I were to draw the fibs from here to here, this would be one of my entrance points. This is probably a fib extension, which means to me there's going to be a retracement, a counter trend trade, so to speak. Forms a double top here. This candle here can't break the previous candle. Now, if this first candle here broke this first candle with momentum, that would be an entrance for me, and I call it, it's an aggressive entrance. This yellow line is basically the third candle in the sequence, and it's showing you that this is possibly a conservative entrance if it breaks to the downside, breaking this previous 5-minute candle body. Um, so the very first 1-minute candle would have threw that yellow line because it broke to the downside, and then you'd have to decide, hey, price action wise, whatever, am I going to get in? And I'll explain how I do it for entrances here. So that's the higher time frame candles of that indicator. Um, and you could turn that off. You could just hit turn off, show higher time frames, and it completely kills it. If you don't want the lines on there, but you want the higher time frame candles, what you could do is just come in here and turn the opacity down to 0, and that'll get rid of those lines for you. So there's a couple, that's obviously the candles colors are customizable also. Um, Last thing on here is show pivot levels. And basically this is the Fibonacci pivot points of the previous day that you can use as support and resistance. It'll pre-plot these. I use them sometimes in the morning when the market first opens up because I don't have my fib points plotted right away. What you could do is, and what I think I'm going to do is go in and change the color of this pivot point, the main one, probably to blue maybe. So the actual pivot, and what I'll look and see about maybe changing resistance. Maybe red, or leave them orange, and then support lines I could change them to like a greenish color, because that's showing, hey, it's pushing down, it's bouncing off this support level. It could be a possible, bounce back to the upside because it's using it as support. So maybe I'll do that. I'll go in and I'll have these pre-plotted here uh, and change that for us. If not, you just come in here and you could change it and then hit save as defaults. So then when it comes up, it'll be there on that. Same thing, you can adjust the labels here, the color. The labels are pushed the whole way to the right side. That's another. I'll have to look about to see if I could change it a little bit. But so that's it with the indicator and how to set it up and what the settings are in there. By all means, if you're a member of the Discord and you have any questions, shoot me a DM, the Fibonacci. Just I'm usually available anytime. If I don't get back to you right away, I'm either in a trade or I'm sleeping, but I will get back with you. Um, if you're not a member and you decided to purchase the indicator, my email will be on the link whenever you purchase it, and you can always send me an email and ask me questions on it, and we could get together whether you're in the Discord or not, and I can explain stuff to you. Maybe we could set something, a Zoom call or something. I don't even know. I never use Zoom, so I don't know. That's something I'll have to discuss, figure out later if people are interested in that purchase the indicator and having problems with it. They could contact me, and I'll try to get you, set up and get working, so that way you understand what's going on. That's the great thing about the Discord. Everybody's in there and helps everybody, so it's nice. But that's the indicators alone. Again, if you're a member of the Trading Decoded Discord and you're a gold member, spider member, you get access to these indicators for free. If you want to have access to the indicators, you can click the link below. It's $10 a month to have access to the indicator, and it's all pre. You put your own TradingView Discord name or TradingView name in there, and it'll give you access. Now, when you get access to this indicator, it'll be up here in the invite only scripts. So you'll have the access there in the invite only. Once you put your TradingView name in there and get that access, what's going to happen is you will have, if your TradingView is open, you'll have to close it, open it back up, and then you should have access. You may have to open it up, see if you come up here, see if it populated your invite-only scripts. If not, you'll have to close you may have to completely log out of it and log back in. If you're on the web platform, I think you may just have to hit refresh, and that should work for you. So either way, because I know some people have been having problems with that. All right, so that's the indicators. Now let's go on how to trade, how I trade, I should say. Um, so this is, I think I already got it set up for market open. I switched to a 3-minute chart, and I'm ready to play the orb play. Like I said, I'll watch how the first candle prints. Where's it at? Right here. So try to push down and then got pushed up really hard. It got beat up. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to push to the upside. So as soon as this thing breaks to the upside, I'm going to make my entrance in once it breaks here, if it breaks up with some momentum. This very next candle, when it prints, you'll see the Fibonacci points are going to plot out, and you'll see what I mean by my take profit area. Let me turn on the pivot points here. Oh, they're already shown. So right here is one. The next one's up further. So the next candle, oh man, it's making me a liar. I bet you I don't have it. So obviously you want to make sure hit to show the orb is on there. So let me go back real quick. And so the next candle, when it prots, it'll show it broke to the upside initially. That's why it knows when it breaks to the upside, it pushes the profit targets to the upside. If it would have broke to the downside and broke that candle, it would push them down. So that would be my entrance point. Once it hits this 382, if it starts pulling back, I'm out. Pushes up to the 786. This is my second profit target, and 100% if it's pulling back, I'm out. So here, I basically, got in here. That was my orb play. And I got out right up here. Right when it started pulling back, I ended up getting out. And it's just a real quick, get in, get out, take your profits. On the orb, what you don't want to do is sit there and hold and hope and say, oh, I'm going to make, a bunch of money here. It's going to continue to push up. Well, we don't know that. And when it pulls back against you, it could pull back hard, because look what this did. It pulled back, and then it pushed the whole way down in this 382. Now, how I do my stop losses, and that's my take profit. So say I get in, and instead of pushing up where I thought it was pushing up, maybe it started to push up, and as I made entrance and it fired off my order, it actually ended up being red because it pulled back right away. This 236 area is my first, hey, you might want to take some profits here, but I wait for a candle to close below that 236, because a lot of times it'll push here and push back up. Same thing with this 382. It'll wick down here to this 382. Now, if it continues to push below it like it did here, I probably, if I was in it when it pulled back there, I would take off. If I'm, say I got 5 contracts, I'd probably take off 3 or 4 of them right there and leave a runner, because it could bounce back kind of like it did here. That's another possible bounce back. Now, if it would wick down, I don't care if it's not closing. If it wicks and touches this 618, I'm out 100% of all my contracts. So that's how I play the orb play. It's real simple. It's either a hit or miss. I'm very, very consistent and profitable playing the orb, because I go in pretty heavy. Because like I said, I'm pretty confident. Because if this pushes up and it doesn't even hit this 382, we'll say I'm in it. It pushes up, starts pulling back, I'm out. I will not turn negative. If I'm green on this orb play, I will not turn negative. The only time I'm negative is when I initially buy in thinking it's a good break, but it actually was false and it pulled back as I'm buying in. Then I'm willing to let it hit these stop losses here, because there's possible, like I said, it'll bounce off at 236. This candle's a prime example. Pushes down through, even pushes through that 382, but then it's got sucked back up. So that's a really good example of that. After this orb play is done, what I'll do is that's when I'll come up here and hit that boom, shut that off. I'm going to go ahead and shut off the pivots, because I don't use them, because the orb or the indicator is going to kick off here at 940. So after that orb play is done, so if I'm out, if I'm into the next candle, I would sit here and I'd play the next candle out, on the 3-minute candle. But since I got out on that very first, that next, that candle, basically in and out, I just switch over to 1 minute, because now I'm looking for entries and exits off of the higher time frames, the double tops and double bottoms off the fib points, which you'll see here in a minute. So at 9:40, it should plot. So this very next candle, you'll see the fib points plot. And what will happen is it looks like it's uptrend, so it's probably going to have the 100 down here, and no, it'll probably have. I think that's right. I got to tweak it a little bit. Yeah, the 100's here and the zero's up here. So actually, that's how it should be. Yeah, because you're drawing it's an uptrending day. So yeah, the 100's here and the zero's up here. So you got that. And so now what I'm looking for here is bounce off certain fib points, and I have for the members with Trading Decoded, I put together a PDF file of what fib points I look for bounces and entrances. So right here, it's in no man's land for me. I don't look for an entrance here unless it's going to break to the upside. So if it breaks to the upside and breaks this 5-minute candle here, this overlay, with some force, I will look for it to push up to the 10% or the 0 line. I'm willing to take profit, at the 236 line, or really almost any line as long as it's, I'm in the green. But if this pushes back up, it's basically a bounce off its 786 area, 618. And if it breaks this previous candle to the upside, I would look for a possible hit to the 10% or 0% line, going back up. If this pushes down and breaks this 100 line, you'll see it'll automatically reverse the fibs where I won't have to do anything. And here's what I mean by that, guys. So when I draw the fibs here, let me draw them the other way. That way it's kind of like market. So for example, boom, boom. Normally this is what I do. In the morning I would draw my fibs just like that. This is pushing back, and we'll say it hit this 100 line. For me to reverse it, I have to come up here, get in there, click on the reverse button, close out, and boom, my fibs are reversed now back to the downside. This indicator is going to automatically flip them for me. I don't have to go in there and do all that junk. The reason why I do that is because these extensions are what I play off of. And right now, it's an uptrend technically. It's pushing up, and that's why the 0 line's up here. If it breaks this 100 line, that means it pulled back 100%. That's basically what these are percentages. So if it pushes down, like right now, it pulled back from this move up. It pulled back roughly 90%. Almost 100%. So if it breaks that 100%, that means we're going to reverse it. We're going now to the downside. So that's why I reverse my fibs. Okay. So we'll see what happens here. It decided not to push down. So that candle broke up and pulled back. So it depends on how this candle was. If it was a smooth break, and that's the bad thing about TradingView, you can't tell how these candles are. If it was a choppy break up, that is not an entrance. Now, if this was a smooth break up, that could have been an entrance there. But normally what I like to do is I wait for the 5-minute, this whole green candle, to push above here to make my entrance. Now, if it was like this where they're pretty close together, like this green candle, here could have been an entrance to the upside whenever it forms, because they're basically that close, that green candle. Here, the 5-minute overlay, it's not really there, so it all depends on how that printed. So now, it's getting closer. That was hardly a break. If this next one breaks up pretty hard, that would be an entrance. And it didn't. Now this thing formed a doji. I'm not a big fan of playing off the doji. So again, right now, I wouldn't really be looking, I wouldn't look for a break of this little candle here. I wouldn't worry about that. But if it pushes up here, I wouldn't get in just because it broke that doji. I'm not a big fan of using a previous doji candle to get in. If it broke up here and then broke this previous candle over here, that could possibly be an entrance. Again, it all depends on the price action. And boom, as you see what happened, it pushed down, and what happened to the fib point? It turned. And not only did it turn, let me rewind that. It did everything in one swoop. So the 272 is here at the 420 or 42695. So what happens is how I do the fibs also is once this breaks, first off, if it was to break the 100 line, I've reversed the fibs like I showed you. When it breaks this 272, I'll move my fib anchor point so that 0 line will be moved down to that candle that broke that 272. I'm still working on tweaking a little bit. I would like for this candle to actually close below the 272 before it moves it, but the way I have it set up right now is if it touches or breaks it, it's going to plot the fibs to that candle. So watch what it does. It's 100. What would I say? 4269. I'm just going to put a line there. And you'll see what will happen. 4269.50. So that should turn into a white line because it should plot the fibs on this candle here. Or was it this one? Boom, there it is. Pushes down, broke through and closed. This actually broke through and closed below that 272. So it automatically, it reversed the fibs, and it drew the anchor point just like I would do to the wick of that candle that broke it. Another thing, I usually like to do it on the higher time frame. So if one candle breaks it, normally I don't do it. I would wait for the close of this whole 5-minute candle to be below that, but that's really complicated stuff to get into. So that's why it's not there. I'm not super great at Pine script or anything like that. I'm literally just starting out learning this stuff. So this is above my pay grade, so to speak, doing that. But down the road, I may, try to work on it and get it to where it does work off of the 5-minute overlay, which would be awesome if I could get that to work. But anyway, so now that it reverses like that, what I would be looking for here is possibility of, depending on where this 5-minute candle closes. Again, I play the 5-minute overlays, and I know people are going to say, why don't you just play the 5-minute candle? Because I like to see the inner workings of this 5-minute candle, exactly of how that 5-minute candle got to be where it got. Was it beat down and then last minute it got pushed up? Yeah, I like to see that kind of stuff. And there's times where, that first candle could be an entrance. So we'll see what happens here. Pushing down. So the fib point's already got moved once. Here it wicked right to it. So actually that did touch it and it didn't reverse the fibs, which is good. So it actually has to break that 272 for their, not reverse, but to move the anchor point, which is good. So on this 5-minute candle here, all right, so it's trying to push back up. So two things here. I would like to see a candle to break down below this again. So if this next candle pushes down, that would be an entrance for me. That would be when I would, want to get in. And I'd expect it to hit the 272 line here. So right there, that candle could be an in. Expect it to come down here for profit. It did push down, it broke up here, broke that yellow line, so that would be the entrance, getting in once it breaks that yellow line. Again, it all depends on how that candle prints in real time. If it broke with force, that would be an entrance. I would profit target would be 272, but I would not let this thing pull back up and break that yellow line. I would get out before it, basically I'd break even right now. If it pushes down and hits this 169 and closes below that 10 becomes my profit target or my stop loss. So here, when it started wicking back up, I would just get out. Normally I'd play the close of the candle, but since we're so close to here and it closed basically right there, so I basically would get out with, it would cost me whatever my contracts are, but I'd probably try to get out before then. So right there is what I would have been expecting from this candle here. These two candles, this thing to push down. Um, and I believe it did. It pushed past that 272 line. So as you can see, that's what I was expecting these candles to do earlier. If it can't break to the upside and it's closed and you're just 5 minute, it's barely there, I would expect it to push down and hit this 272, which is, let's drag this line down. So it did. It pushed down and broke it, so that's why it moved the fibs. Um, and then it got sucked back up on that. So that's the 5 minute candle there. It's right off at its 236 now after the fibs were moved. So for me, what I will look for would be another possible push down and at least hit this zero line. Would be either the 0 or the 10% line. Because if it can't push above this 236 and pushes, it's probably going to go lower. So that's what I would look for here. Which it did and pushed down. And I believe this is the trade, if I'm not mistaken, that I got burnt on today. Oh shit, was it this one? Yeah. So what happened here was I got in at the break. My target was the zero line or 10%, which it did, it hit. But when I got in, my computer screen went white. I didn't know what the hell was going on. It was just, I couldn't do anything. So I'm like panic mode. So by the time I got the computer up and running, this is what happened. Boom, it was up here and I automatically got out. I was like, son of a bitch. Um, so yeah, that was a big loss there on this one here. But anyway, it happens, I don't play stop losses to where I have it pre-plotted. I use the chart for stop losses. I mean, technically my stop loss would have been the 236 level once it, pushed up above it and closed. So I guess technically that's where I would have stopped out. But I probably would have stopped out as it was pushing up because that looked like it was a momentum push. But anyway, it happens. Um, so yeah, that's where I would have got out. But now it pushed above this 236 line, so I'm thinking, okay, once I got the computer up and running, and I'm like, all right, it's running smooth again. If this thing can break up above this 236, it's going to push up if this 5 minute candle closes above this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So right there's the 5 minute candle. So I'm like, okay, if this thing can break above here with momentum, I'm going to get in and see where it goes. My target would be a quick scalp to the 618, but obviously, I'd hold a little bit longer if it keeps pushing. But I'm like, oh, this is, it's trying to push down. It couldn't. It's getting sucked back up, and this 236 line is one of my A plus fib points entrances. So, and it's closing above it. I'll be like, okay. And when it went boom, oh shit, it went the wrong way. I'm thinking it's going to go higher. And it did the opposite. So on that candle there, when it pushed down and then broke up, and I believe that was the one I made my entrance on. No, it was the first one when it pushed back up. I thought it was the second one. But yeah, so it broke to the upside. I'm expecting it, at any time, I'm going to get ready to take my profit. If this thing would have sucked back even further, I'm like, oh, I'd be out. Like right now, my profit basically is breaking even. I'm at the break even point here. And then it just continues. It closes here. So I'm waiting for a close below my break even point. So now on that candle there, I drag my stop loss up, boom, 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 to this 786 level. And the reason why that circle's here is because if it breaks at 9 and comes back, I'm going to get out. And that's basically what happens here. It pushes way up. So I moved my stop. I couldn't even move my stop loss up, to get out, so to speak. And it's a mental stop loss. All I had to do was hit the damn X button. But I was like, holy hell, that was a good move. I'm way up here. And then boom, it sucked back down. So I got out, and roughly it was right in here, this area. So that was another great, comeback, so to speak, from that move I had earlier. Here, I'm looking good now, feeling good about the day. So now what I look for is, again, it pushed up, pushed past this was the 100 line. As you can see, it reversed the fib, so I didn't have to reverse them. It automatically reversed them for me. So I didn't have to piss with them. These extensions here are my kind of like the bread and butter of the fib, so to speak. This is where I love to make entrances. It pulled way back down here though, so there probably wouldn't have been a good entrance on that. But I mean, you just never know. You have to kind of play it by ear and figure out, okay, do I want to do that or not? Um, so it's just some things that you have to judge it by the price action. And to me, there might not be enough room, so to speak, to run down. Not enough meat on the bones. Okay, that's what I was saying. Not enough meat on the bones. So I'm like, you know what? Even if it breaks down, I'm not going to play it because the 618's right here, and that's normally a bounce point back up. So I'm like, yeah, not really looking for it right yet. And it's chopping up here. Here it's bouncing up, so this could be a possible entrance. It's just going sideways. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure if I would really even want to trade this, sideways action here. It's it's just not looking good to coming down to the downside. Um, but either way, it might. Now, when it breaks this zero line, it's just like I did down here. Of course, as you can see, these are dojis. I might play a quick scalp up here to this 272 for a possibility, but really, it's not looking that way right now. It's just looking like hey, these are damn dojis candles, and it's not really good to play those dojis. Let me expand this a little bit here. Normally this would be a good entrance candle for me, but the previous one was a doji. So it'd be like, you know what? I'm not a big fan of, like I said, playing off at, as you can see, there's the yellow line, conservative, but since that's a doji, I'm not a big fan of playing that. It would have been a trade, but, you don't have to always take the trade when it presents itself either. Um, it might not work out for you. So, let me reverse that. That could have been an entrance here. I got a little click happy, didn't I? So here it forms this double top. It must have already wicked up past that 272. I missed it. Hit the 272, and so move the fibs here. Uh, but this could be a push down where it did on this candle here. That would have been a candle to get in right here because it broke the previous candle right off that 236 line. Expect it to go to the 50, and as it's sucking back up that far, I would not let it go that far up. I probably would have been out of this right up and around the middle here on this. And by the way, I'm sleeping now, so that's why I'm not taking all these trades that are possibility trades right through here. So again, we have this thing pushed up. It hits the 10%. So there's those extensions that I look for a retrace back to the downside. And we'll see what happens here. Actually, I already did this one, didn't I? Yeah. Why is it not? There we go. So I'd look for, a bounce down. Again, I was sleeping, so I did not take any trades here. But that's what I look for. I'm like, okay, so it's starting to come down, forms this double top. It would have to break this here, with really good force for me to jump in this trade, and then my stop loss would be above that wick. So that candle there probably would have got me in if I was awake. I would have got in on that candle here. Stop loss would have been to close above this wick up here. Again, I'd be looking for the 236 line hit. So right there, I would not let it pull back up, from its 236. That would be my stop and get the hell out. So as that push back down and come back up, I wouldn't let it break this candle. So I would have stopped out right here on that trade on this candle here. Wow, now it looks like it wants to push back up. So off this 236 line, if it's not breaking down further and closing below it, and it's closing above it, so, hell, I may have, if I would have got out of this trade, I don't get in another trade. But if I didn't get in this trade and missed it, I would be in on this candle here, when it pushed up, here. And then my stop loss would be below this, right below that 236 line. And I would look for a 10% hit. Boom. So I would have pushed up, hit my 10%, sucked back. I would get out right there. Would be my, get out, so to speak. So that's how I trade using this technique with the fibs. As you can see, the fibs reverse on their own. They extend on their own, but it's exactly how I do it. The only thing it doesn't do, like, normally I would wait for the overlay candle to close above this 272. So that's going to be work down the road. Hopefully I can modify and do a different version, update the script to where it does that. But until then, it's working pretty damn good the way it is now, and I like it. I may tweak it to where the candle will actually have to close above this 272 before it moves the zero line, because right now if it breaks the 272 and sucks back down, it's going to move the zero line, and I'm not a big fan of that, so I'm going to look into seeing what I could do to tweak it and make it better. But I don't want to make this video too long. It's probably pretty long now. So I'm just gonna stop it there. I talked through the indicators, the two indicators of, how to set them up, what they are, what's all involved with them. Talked about how I trade with those indicators and the fibs. So hopefully I covered everything that's, questions or any concerns of that. Again, if you're not a member of the Trading Decoded Discord, by all means, the link's in the description below. Come check us out. It's free access for the week. We get access to everything that goes on in there. We have Jimmy, he's the owner of the Discord, and he basically from 9 o'clock to 4, he's in our stage channel where he shares his screen, and so you can actually watch his screen. And I'm not saying you're watching his screen actually taking trades on his screen, but he has his lines, and he'll have the SMAs, I believe, on his chart. And he'll talk about, possible entries and what looks good. This could be a break and retest. And he kind of lets you know ahead of time of, when he's, probably going to take a trade, but he doesn't come flat out and say, hey, I'm taking this right now. He'd say, hey, if it breaks a certain area, I'm going to get in. and he get in, and after he gets in, he'll plot it on the chart so you can actually see all that live of him. Okay, yeah, I took it, and if he's in a trade, he actually talks through it and says, okay, this is the target I'm looking for it to hit. This is my stop loss. So he talks through all that. Again, you guys can join up. It's free for 7 days, and then you can become a member after that, the gold tier, spider tier, um, by all means, and you get free access to these indicators. If you don't want to join the Discord and you want access to these indicators, there'll be a link in the description below. You click on that link and fill out the information. Again, it's only $10 a month, and I put a lot of work into this, and I actually had to help, because there's some things I'm not that great at coding, and I had to pay somebody to help me out get it the way I want. So it's not like, hey, I'm trying to get a big money scheme here. I like to recoup some of my losses here. But anyway, if you don't, that's fine also. I'm happy with the way the indicators are. They work great for me. But hopefully we'll see you over in the Trading Dakota Discord if you stop in and check us out. Shoot me a DM. I'm the Fibonacci. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you there. And I hope you guys have a smooth trading year. And have a good one, guys.